have
Let's do it.
It's full positivity here, as we do see the Maokai being banned away from Peanut, something that I don't think he will play all season. He definitely wasn't allowed to all last season, but this is what I love. The Taliyah bans starting to get some respect for this champion that can be flexed and has been so incredibly devastating in so many players' hands so far.
This is DRX. I might even go for the 5-man as well, if they don't want to first pick it. Identifying, I think correctly, Peanut has looked incredible when he gets to have his controlling picks, but his Nidalee last time around, and I'm talking about his individual performance, not the champion as such, because I want to maintain Atlas's level of positivity.
There we go.
Was a big problem for Hanwha specifically because I think it requires the team to play very differently. Every Peanut team that we've seen be successful, both Hanwha and Gen.G, have relied on him as a player that can take a beating and still lead the charge. And I think that Maokai and Sajuani both do an incredible job at that. The Vi is the other pick that does this exceptionally well. The problem is that Skarners is up, so I won't fault DRX for going in that direction. Rumble's still available here. That's the most popular counter pick we've seen in the LCK. We've also seen globally, I know both LPL and LEC have experimented with the Mordekaiser, but the Rumble makes a ton of sense to me, and this Vi pickup should come as absolutely no surprises. It's one of Peanut's favorites.
Yeah, and just fits into this very, very well. And if Zeka would like to go towards something that's a little bit more physical-minded, the Tristana still up and available, something that I expect Yehu to be taking away here. Just to deny it with a Rumble on your squad, you don't necessarily feel priced in to a mage in the mid lane, as that is a Jax being considered for Sponge. Might indicate some flexing, but no, it's going to be Viego locked away. And what does that mean for Yehu? That's my question.
So with this locking, the Tristana does lose some power. One of the big advantages, and actually, so Yehu is both a great Hui player, and now you force Hanwha Life to pick right here, right now. I do think the LeBlanc and Vi combination is obviously very, very strong, but it also denies the pick we were talking about earlier, the Tristana.
Yeah.
Right? With a Rumble, you already have a ton of AP towards the top side of the map, so you can look towards it. Zeka still locks it in, but I think DRX is going to be happy with that. Hui, again, has been one of the few champions, because with Tristana, a lot of her power outside of her shoving comes from being able to just force all-ins, but that is very linear, so if you just jump on top of Hui, he hits his EQ, you're left wandering away, and winning trades becomes a whole lot harder.
Absolutely. It's been one of the champions that has succeeded versus the Tristana in situations where a lot of others have certainly failed. There is the Lucian ban away from Teddy. We've still seen this crop up in the second round of bans, although Lucian hasn't been quite near the prevalence that we've seen him in the past, which I'm kind of okay with. Mix up the bottom lane a little bit. Rakan taken away from Delight, certainly his best champion. Something that Pleta has found a fair bit of success on as well. And the supports, I think we're going to be glued to in this match, because Pleta certainly up and coming, but Delight, can he get back on the horse? You know, was he relaxing a little too much perhaps in the off-season, needing to get himself back into gear? We'll see how that does go, as Kai'Sa going to be taken away from Viper. We'll see what he is going to lock in here. Very vocal so far, but
there are so many options still available. Zeri is a big one. Zeri Lulu is something you can go for. But there is... Varus is still up as well, which is crazy to think about given how high priority the pick has been. But we've seen this a lot, even though there are a lot of AD carry picks. Generally, people go for their top side of the map first, and then because so many things in AD carry are viable right now, we've seen Zayas have success. Right? Aiming played that against Hanwha, actually ended up making it work. Zeri has cropped back up. The Kai'Sa, I think, particularly with the Leona being as strong as she is right now, is a great shout as well. And Rel is a pick that I think DRX might want to look towards. Their engage is a little bit lackluster. The problem is that you are going to be blinding that, and the Alistar, I think, is then kind of a no-brainer here for Hanwha.
Yeah, and was something that Delight actually looked better on in their previous match.
And even with Leona, I think that's what we're going to be getting from Delight.
Yeah, well, we'll see what he does decide to go with. Hovering it immediately, so I don't think they're going to put too much thought into it. It's just going to be give me the cow. And let's see whether we can get through the early stages of the lane. That could be a little bit more difficult, but I don't think you're going to get punished as much by a Xayah Leona lane in the early game anyway. So these are your two drafts. A lot of range coming out from DRX. I do like the Hui augmenting, I guess, the lower range that you might expect from a Xayah, but a difficult team to dive just in general.
I really like the DRX comp here for game 1 because you kind of feel incentivized to dive because outside of the Rumble you are very short range as Hanwha, but you're playing into Skarner, you're playing into Xayah. These picks, if you make a mistake in how you dive, very quickly can take over a fight. The amount of engages I've seen onto Skarner where he just is like, and he impales 2 people and then they die.
Yeah.
Is a little high. I do think though, given Hanwha's level generally within the LCK, this is also the type of composition where you can get like one good early fight with Vi Tristana and then Zeri gets 3 kills and then the opponent never gets to play the video game.
Yeah, and it's Viper. And he's pretty good at doing carrying. I don't think many people need much of an introduction on that front. So I think I'd be a little bit worried if the bottom lane does come under fire for DRX, but I do think that they do have tools available to them if they can keep the game under control or at least even moving towards a mid and late game. Wei, of course, is very, very dangerous in those circumstances where he can sort of control the battlefield. So Hummer Life Esports, a lot of the things that they have historically loved, but DRX, a lot of tools to fight against it. Let's see how it goes. We hop onto the Rift for game 1. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for our very first game. And Doran has a difficult task ahead of him. He has to fight the Lawnmower, which I'm very excited about. I do love this skin as it has been sort of updated. I think this is the one that really has still encapsulated what the previous Lawnmower did have.
Yeah.
You know?
He's also playing Rumble when Hooney's on the desk. So that's a double
danger.
It is danger indeed, even though I'm not sure if this is the skin where he yells, like, you know, some of the skins he really yells danger a lot. We'll see if it's this one. Looking at the compositions here, also do note Delight actually placing his ward very early on, which means that it'll be a little bit harder for Frog to, you know, try and weave in and out of that brush. Gonna give Doran a good amount of extra information and a lot more power to trade if Frog tries to hide in the brush, as we already see.
Yep.
Saw the ping go down. The one thing that specifically for DRX I think does make me worry a little bit is that Viego traditionally excels when you play him with picks that provide great lockdown and burst so that he can start up with his resets. And outside of linking up with Leona, it doesn't really feel like you have a lot of those tools, right? Wei, while strong, when you get to the mid to late game, really does take a decent amount of time to actually chew through a lot of targets. So we'll see how much impact Sponge can have. The Zeri has been low on the ban and priority list, but doing great when it comes to actually winning games.
Yeah, a lot of winning. And with the fact that the priority is lower, you get to pick her in a lot of these spots where she is a lot more valuable. You can see that there aren't too many Vi's and Nautiluses on the side of DRX to try and lock her down. Yes, there is CC abound, but a lot of it is a little bit more of the skill shot variety, and Zeri does like it when that is the case. Viper also carrying the cleanse with him. That added movement speed is going to feel pretty good about being able to navigate this battlefield. So we'll see how he does go. Of course, not a player that we often doubt with mechanical skill. As Doran getting shoved in by Frog for the moment, and in fact, losing out on a bunch of these trades. Zeka not finding too much of an amplification on that explosive charge as Yehu finding some Qs, having a good time.
That right there, right? The fact that that's the interaction that we talked about, that's why often you see Wei picks into Tristana. It's that your jump is linear, so as long as Yehu is ready, he can cancel it, get you feared, and then win the trade that way. His CSing has been a bit unfortunate though.
Yeah.
Action towards the bot side of the map.
Viper taking a lot of damage from Teddy here. Very aggressive, down sub 200. Splitter and Teddy really starting to put the screws in. Delight at full health, but with Viper not being able to follow up on too much, could be a little bit dangerous here. As DRX holding their own. Sponge going to be able to grab himself the Rift Scuttler as Peanut does spot him. Not going to be too much more biffo as Extended Beam not going to do too much either, so just testing the waters here.
Oh, possible double Scuttle here for Sponge because his bot lane is prio.
Yeah.
I don't know. Think that... Oh, well, I probably should let this one go.
Yeah, Sponge now going to slink into the mist here momentarily. Zeka looking for an angle to try and get aggressive, but it looks like it is going to be that double scuttle that you were talking about. So Sponge will very happily lap that one up. Peanut not able to get in there for the smite, so there it is. Sponge able to move back down towards the bottom side right as his Krogs are going to be coming back up, I believe.
And the wave is pushing into DRX as well. So, bit of an unfortunate early game state here for Hanwha Life. Not going to be the end of the world. As we see, Viper just takes his back, realizes that there's not a whole lot for him to do, and DRX do want to get the shove in so that they can also get a reset in. The Light going to be looking to tank this wave so that Viper doesn't miss him. But Viper at this point already is going to be there, so no real worry here. But still, early jungle lead for Sponge. Going to feel great. Want to get to level 6 as soon as possible. And denying Vi her 6 is also a big win.
Yep, absolutely huge. Teddy and Pleta wanting to get a reset, but they wanted to make sure that they got this wave fully crashed in. The Light was able to hold at least a few of these casters to make things a little bit less clean, but I think they still will go for this reset. And yeah, you can see Pleta going back home now. So pretty quiet as far as the early game is concerned. That's why we're talking about things like Sponge being able to get a double scuttle as being this huge situation, because we don't have any of these early first bloods that we have seen in previous games. We've had some mess on the Rift so far this week. There has been some craziness. Not so much in this game. A lot more cool, calm, and collected. And I feel like that works out for Hanwha Life Esports. I feel like they're a little bit more of this slow-moving, inevitable type team that if you do mess things up in the early stages, they can be a little bit more susceptible.
Like a tank?
Yes.
Want to highlight as well. I thought it was funny.
No, I liked it.
Okay. Well, you didn't give me any indication that you liked it. So
I'm sorry for not affirming your joke better.
just making sure, Atlas. I need to know if the material hits.
Okay.
Sponge getting double scuttle and then immediately going into a second clear, meaning that he is actually decently out of the curve. Should be able to turn that into a dragon specifically. Doesn't look with the rumble like they're going to be able to contest. Sponge now does actually need to use the time allotted to him. He can either look for a gank towards the bottom side of the map, but I think Viper is going to try and play this very, very safely. And this is a Zeri.
All right, let's see how she goes. Nice on the E there from Pleta. Able to get in with the Zenith Blade, but Viper just skates out. He's Zeri. Yeah, walls.
Cleanse will get forced out, which might give a level 6 all-in angle for Pleta and Teddy. And the dragon should be taken here by DRX. Oh, they are looking.
I need to teach my mind to factor in cleanse more often now that the cooldown is a bit longer. As DRX, they were thinking about going for it here, but Zeka able to get that roam over. Yahoo very far away from that mid lane.
This wave
does finally turn up.
Hanwha Life is missing out a little bit here.
Yeah. Still prioritizing this one quite a lot as Delight goes in. Flash out immediately from Pleta, but there's still the cease and desist coming in. Extendo Beam gets a fair bit of work done as Pleta trying to turn a Peanut. Goes down for first blood. Pleta able to get that kill as well, as now Sponge turns into the Vi and is able to take down the Zeri. More of these resets coming forward, but I don't think they're going to be able to get too much more. And the Dragon loses interest in the battle completely. DRX come out ahead.
That was a 3 versus 4, Atlas. That DRX just won. A 2-for-1 trade. An opportunity for Sponge to get the blue buff and a dragon denied. The kills not going over to Teddy, which obviously would have been the best case scenario, but ton of CS. Getting pushed into the turret here in mid as well. A plate going over.
And I also think that Sponge being the main benefactor of this situation is very happy about how this one goes. 1-0-1 now on the Viego, and he does need to be part of that carry threat for this this team as well. So let's have a look at it one more time.
So what happens is a lot of damage gets thrown into an Aftershock and Eclipse Leona. So, and Delight also, right, goes in aggressively, uses his cooldowns, but then Peanut goes in for this really deep follow-up dive, but you're completely ignoring the Viego. And Viego in these early skirmishes, if someone goes down, you're not winning. Drake will end up going over to Hanwha Life. I don't think that this is any indication, right, that this team is now going to struggle for the foreseeable future. It's just a small win. But it does kind of continue the trend of Hanwha Life, I think, looking weaker than we expected coming in. I want to, again, remember everyone back, think about the spring season where they were so clearly third. And then for a little bit of playoffs, they were maybe, maybe second.
Yeah.
But for most of it, very clearly third. I don't even know if they dropped any series to teams below them. I know that they felt like an immovable brick wall. And right now, at least in the early game, DRX is fighting back.
They certainly are. We have to remember as well that DRX is an organization that has a lot of talented players, right? Like, there are a lot of really great players on the DRX Challenger roster for a very long time. And so we might be seeing, you know, some of those fruits starting to come in, you know? The fact that they have leveled up consistently over this time. So looking forward to seeing whether that is going to be the case or whether it is going to be Humble Life Esports just biding their time, finding themselves a mid-game fight, and then taking the game. They certainly have the tools to get that done as well. And if they're more decisive, DRX could find themselves in a large deficit. So we ain't counting no chickens just yet. But certainly a good sign so far for DRX and Sponge in particular.
There was a time where Pleta was part of one of the best bot lanes in Challenger with Jun, because he was he was an AD carry, because he had role swapped.
I mean, not to mention also being one of the better AD carries in the LCK.
Yeah, when he did come up that one.
When he just came up for a bit and looked pretty good. I think picked up POG in his first game.
Big here as well is that Viper now has his clans available again, so there was an opportunity for DRX to use that window.
And by first game, I mean first game as Pleta.
Yeah, because
he played in the LCK before that.
That was the 10th place DRX roster.
Yeah, that was one we prefer not to talk about.
Yeah, the Bao and Becca angle when he was still Becca didn't end up going very well. And we're talking again about ancient history, because right now it's a pretty low tempo game. It's a nice ease-in game.
Well, Frog, the lawnmower, is lit on fire a little bit there, but Sponge is going to be starting off these grubs. 3 of them already going over to Peanut here, who does move into the pit. Should be able to lock down 5. That is going to be very powerful here for Humble Life Esports, especially with Zekka on this Tristana. A lot of pushing threat from this squad already.
Sponge, cheeky steal?
Perhaps, but no, not going to be the case. There's now Frog, once again getting burnt, but doesn't actually get the Impale fully underneath the turret. That was a bit of a weird situation there.
Yeah, so he got the Impale, and then Doran flashed out immediately. There wasn't no follow-up either, so I don't think he would have been able to kill him by himself as a Pleta.
All right, going for it here as he does Hex Flash over that wall. Viper gonna get Solar Flared, immediately cleanses that one, but there is more CC to come on through here as in comes Sponge, and yeah, Viper is just going to skate away. That is a wall, even though it does look like a pit of doom.
El Cove Gaming!
Yeah, that's a bit of cliff skating as well there from Viper. You do like to see that one, unless you're a DRX fan who wanted to see the Zeri fall down. He's not going to this time.
Cliff skating? That sounds like a dope game.
It sounds pretty hardcore, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like a skating game, but it's more edgy.
Yeah. It's like with those new... okay, never mind. We got a bit of a dive here towards the bottom lane as Frog gonna flash out of the way, avoids the equalizer quite well as Yehu. He came in with the teleport, so he will be able to keep his top laner alive, but no one dead on the side of Humble Life Esports, and they get the teleport.
Bit toasty there. Yehu does TP on top of the waiting equalizer from Doran. With Leandris especially, definitely going to have a ton of damage. But in the end, you know, Frog got the flash, which is unfortunate, but you trade TPs evenly, so it's not like the map pressure remains in favor of Humble. And we're looking like this game is going to go, at least for the foreseeable future, into a mid to late game stage, right? I don't think the pace is suddenly going to highly accelerate. I don't think either of these teams are as known for that as teams like DK or T1, obviously the most notable example. And then the question becomes, who do we think scales better? And I'm not sure. I'm leaning DRX, even with the existence of Viper on Zeri, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting situation, right? Because it's about who gets to play the style of League of Legends that they want. And Humble Life Esports, if they're able to find, you know, engage after engage, get behind Peanut, he starts things up and makes things work. Delight there as well for some fantastic follow-up. Like, it could work, but if DRX keeps them at arm's length, their composition definitely does very, very well with the Hui and the Xayah. Could be an opportunity here for DRX if they're able to play their game to really take this one home. And right now, they are ahead by about 200 gold. It is anyone's game at this point in time. And I just love that we're talking about this DRX roster that was struggling to get any wins at all in spring. But being capable of maybe getting something done here as there is a 2-man Impale like you were talking about. Doran trying to offer the damage back. Cease and desist comes down. He's very tanky, but not quite tanky enough. And the turret juggling was beautiful. Doran just wanders his way out. DRX a bit too late on the play. Sponge will be able to even things out, or at least might be able to even things out by taking this dragon as Zeka moves on over. Gets the control ward down, and I think Sponge might have to get himself out of here. Nice little stun here onto Zeka as he closes the gap. Viper's moving down though, and Heartbreaker to come in. Zeka gets himself out, and do they manage to get this? Extended beam comes in, and the smite a little bit too early there from Sponge, and Peanut comes on over and locks it down. Oh dear, Viper's now ulted on top of Teddy as well as it's starting to fall apart for DRX. He wants to stand his ground, but I don't think he's going to be able to do so, and there it is. He gets the Feather Storm. That's all Viper wanted.
Poor Sponge, obviously knowing that smite was going to be the early bit. It's like, maybe with the recall we can try and get it. There wasn't enough time, and all of a sudden, in the sequence of 2 plays, I want to draw your attention here, because not only do they get the kill on Frog here, and diving a Skarner is always going to feel scary, but when you have Alistair with ultimate, don't really have to feel too scared, even though it's Doran who actually ends up taking the aggro. Maybe because they were afraid. Yehu and Pleta, they read the play but too late. And because they show up on the top half of the map, that means that the Hanwha players know that there isn't really anything stopping them from messing with Sponge. I think there, ideally, Teddy would have rotated up, because if Teddy's there, Zeka can't slow it down. But they tried to simultaneously play for the Dragon as well as the bot wave, while also having a delayed response to the topside dive, meaning that all of a sudden now, 2 Drakes for Hanwha and a favorable play towards top. And again, for DRX, you want to have 5v5s front to back. Teddy doesn't have his ultimate, and they're playing for the Herald.
That's a tough one. There's a headbutt out, as Delight is going to push Pleta away. Rift Herald down to 50% right now. 4 versus 4 as it stands. Make it 5 as Teddy turns up. And Doran's going to come in here as well. So it's our first honest 5v5 as in goes Delight, finds a decent pulverize as Yahoo tries to flash away. It's a decent ulti, but it's a better couple of kills for Zeka. And the Skarn able to answer one back onto Doran, but already it is a 1 fight for Harmalife Esports. Oh, never mind. They might be able to turn it here onto Delight, but never mind. Sponge going to be taken out and Delight walks away. Frog now is just going to get burned down as he's running the wrong direction, and it's another kill for the Tristana. Massive, almost a quadra kill if we had time on our side for Zeka, who now moves up to 4-0-2.
It's a team fight diff in that one, Atlas. The RX up until this point look good, but crucially, Yehu, one of the biggest damage sources in this game, gets found by Delight. And even though this ultimate from Doran doesn't do that much damage to Teddy, it does cut through Pleta. It forces Teddy to not be in the fight. And then here on the tail end, Delight, we said he needed to have a better game, and guess what?
Yeah.
He has really nicely done there, right? If they get the reset on the Alistair, then maybe they can. I think DRX also correctly identified that they were never getting out of that situation, so he's just gonna fight to the death. But that doesn't work. Now Zeka's fed, Viper is fed. You didn't get the kill onto Delight. In the game from here on out, especially after a TP and a bot lane turret falling, it's going to be way harder for DRX.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden a 4,000 gold advantage. You saw, DRX had themselves a little bit of a gold lead throughout some of this game, but this is the first time it's really moved the needle anywhere that's actually substantial. Harmalife now, with this composition, if you're ahead, it feels a whole lot better. Our conversations before were about who gets to play their style of game. Well, it can get very oppressive as soon as Harmalife have themselves a lead. That is what's happened right now, as Yahoo moving up with Pleta, looking to try and push Viper out of this lane. I don't think Viper's going to be too worried, especially with a turret on his side, so able to zap down these minions. Rift Herald does pop up. Teddy was able to pick that up in the last fight despite their loss. And they'll be able to get themselves a charge, I believe. Yep, there we go.
A little close.
HLE does get something done.
Ended up working out. Yehu should be able to catch the bot wave here. Did see Sponge also making his way over, but this is one of the things why the Tristana is so strong. She's so hard to reliably lock down. Talked about the Zeri already, but even for the rest of DRX, like, how do you actually make sure that Zeka doesn't get the hippity hop around the entire fight? You really can't, unless he jumps into Frog, which it's Zeka. So I'll reserve judgment, but so far I think he's been having a really, really good game here on the Tristana.
Yeah, the main benefactor of the last fight as well. Both him and Viper with 6 kill participation, feeling very, very good about the position of the carries in this game. And Peanut, you mentioned the fact that his Vi is one of his scarier champions. Currently has been a part of every single kill that Harmalife Esports have been able to put together. And it is Peanut's game that DRX are playing right now. They need to try and turn that one around, and I think a lot of it has to do with what Frog can get done on this Skarner. He was, you know, given that first pick privilege, and this Skarner is very, very strong. But we just haven't really seen many of these Impales work out all that well and thus far.
So this is where a lot of unfortunate situations for DRX combine, because you lost that earlier, Drake, you kind of need to fight this because you don't want to give over Hextech Soul Point because it's so insanely strong.
Oh yeah.
It looks like that's what they're going to do, but they don't have vision, so they're going to need to find a miracle fight here.
Yeah, there's the flash out from the Solar Flare, so Doran not going to have that available right now. Sponge wants to get in and go for some sort of steal, but he's going to get pushed away. That is going to be that Soul Point that you were talking about. Equalizer onto 4 is fantastic, but the flashes out get DRX out of there. And they will be able to get themselves this outer turret in the mid lane. So it's not all bad news, I guess. Pulling back that gold lead a little bit, but as far as the future is concerned, it's looking more and more dire. That Soul Point just so powerful.
Especially when you have a Rumble, when you have double AD carry. Going to be an incredible amount of value, both from the slow as well as the attack speed that you get. Toughy here for DRX.
A roughy toughy, perhaps?
I would say so, Atlas.
Oh, no.
Additionally, because this is the summer of supports, as a preordained by Pleta, you know, he was saying better treatment.
Justice for supports, indeed.
We need it. Shout out to Delight, right? I think the fights have been looking
Secret
a whole
Agent
lot
Delight?
better. Well, he was Secret Agent for Decay in their last one, Atlas. I mean, I love Delight, right? We all rate him, and I think very justifiably, very highly. One of the best team fighting AD carries that we have in our league. But that was unfortunately not his highlight series. But right now, he is doing a great job as, oh, Frog.
Yeah, Frog might be in a little bit of trouble here. Cease and desist comes down. He's going to acquiesce. Does impale a couple of people, but yeah, no, he's really dead. And that is now going to be Hummer Life Esports turning that into another turret. These 5 grubs really doing work for Hummer right now. And Zeka just continuing to put these structures into the ground. Yes, DRX were able to get the outer in mid lane, but that is the only turret they've been able to really get to here, and it's 3 that have already fallen. Mid lane outer still up, because of course Hui pretty difficult to shove into. But yeah, there is still plenty of structures on the ground.
Don't need
we'll check it out one more time.
We don't need a replay of this,
guys. The instant replay as well, Chronically. Don't you love to see it?
Unfortunately for Frog, he is level 12. So the enemy jungler is a higher level than him. Yeah. Doesn't have the best showing, unfortunately, here on the Skarner, a pick that remains extremely high pro, and I think justifiably so is Delight. Might have to ult here.
Getting engaged on here a little bit. In fact, he's just going to turn it. Teddy's going to get blown up in an instant. Pleta to go down as well as now Viper. It's his turn to get a few of these kills. A double already set up as now he just skates on in, looks to execute Yehu. He's going to be able to help Zeka grab that one. And Frog, he's spared this time around, but he is the only one left standing. This game went from like kind of close and like it's well, let's have a chat about DRX looking better to this is Dunzo.
Well, I still think DRX look better than they did in spring.
True.
That part remains true. Unfortunately, we also again have to reiterate that Humble Life lost one very close series to a team that was 4th place last split. Yeah, and it doesn't look like they're willing to maintain that form as we take a look here. Delight, when a team engages on Alistair, you know that they're in dire straits. Yeah, Sultans of Swing is playing for them. They're trying their very best to get anything going, and instead, as you do, you press R and re-engage. And from this point on, I don't think it's going to get any better, Atlas.
It's not looking like it, as there's a cease and desist onto Pleta. Peanut will take just whichever kill he can find, and he will be able to grab this one. And this is the thing, when it gets to the point where Vi presses R and someone is definitely dead, it just gets a whole lot easier for Humble Life Esports to play out the comp.
I am gonna make the statement that you probably should have just banned Vi as well.
Might have been a good move.
Or first picked it. And, you know, Kalista, it's tough, but you can pick Poppy. There's ways of dealing with it.
We've seen Kalista's actually not find all that much success so far in our first week, so I think leaving that one up would be fine.
And we know Peanut can take over games. And I think him and Delight, I don't know who is going to end up getting a POG. But they're
That equalizer just did 50% of these DRX players' health bars.
Yeah, I've been kind of committed to ignoring what's happening with the screen here, Atlas.
Hey, I mean, there's some Sork shoes on Doran, so I think that Huni's going to be kind of okay with how this Rumble has gone.
It's a battle Rumble hybrid. We've seen a lot of Riftmaker, but I think he also bought a Chain Vest next.
Yeah, it's a weird one. But I think it's fine. I think at this point, he can build whatever he wants. As 3,000 gold is going to be the lead for Viper, but it's almost 4,000 for Zeka, who got that unofficial quadra kill in the middle of the game and has put that to good use. 3 full items now and does have that luxury QSS's Sponge could just be dead. Yeah, he's just dead. Frog is going to come in, and yes, he will pay for it, but I think going 1-for-1 in that instance, you're going to be feeling okay with it. It's now Peanut looking to try and turn this one. Viper from over the wall just safely free hitting onto DRX. Frog going to get slowed down. Pletter as well, as that extendo beam got so much value, and this inner turret is not here, so cease and desist comes down. Yehu just finds himself gap closed on. Peanut almost falling down, not quite going to go though, as Harmalife Esports push further forward. Teddy just trying desperately to do something, but it is just a double. 7, 1, and 6 for Viper, and Harmalife Esports will break open the base.
Harmalife, it took a little bit of time to get going, but at no point did it feel like they were falling considerably behind.
And yeah, look,
the Nexus might not fall, Atlas, but
not yet.
It might as well have.
Yeah, and you know, tanks not necessarily known for their acceleration. If you've chosen a tank in a racing game, you're generally not going to win.
It's firepower.
Indeed. And once they get there, you're not really going to last very long. And that is precisely what's happening now, as we're just going to check out the playback speed momentarily, as we've got live and replays and things happening all over the place. And Frog, he's just struggling, walking down this red carpet.
Ignore the picture.
Not where he wants to be. Is Buster Shot actually going to be used against Zeka considerably here? Thankfully, they're really far ahead, so it doesn't actually matter as he crab raves on his way out. Man, that was almost really weirdly done from Zeka and almost caused his demise, but they're 12,000 gold ahead, so it doesn't matter.
Harmalife, I think it's time to end the game. Maybe they're looking to inflict a maximum amount of damage, you know, to the mental.
But and that's successful at this point.
It is, yeah. You can just walk in to the base through the
open
mid lane
bottom
highway
lane or something.
Well, you don't even have to go through the open bottom lane. I think you can force open any door at this point if you're Hanwha.
Okay, so they're just looking to walk southwest, and
in a general direction. Yeah,
that's what they need to aim for. Maybe they don't have the map. You know, I watched the new Mad Max movie, and that has a lot about maps and trying to work out how to get to a place.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to.
It's really good.
No, I'm sure.
I highly recommend it.
I'm sure it is. I remember, because I was actually in Korea for my exchange the first time that Mad Max dropped.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't really...
like Fury Road?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Mel Gibson one from, like...
No.
I was like, were you alive?
Neither of us are that old, right? And I saw it in the cinema 3 times.
Well, Delight got a little bit scared, although I don't know. I think he might have been tricking, because I don't think he's all that scared about how this one's going thus far. 5 members of Harmalife Esports, finally, they have found their way. They found the map. And now they're looking to try and break open this top lane as well. Delight just being that front line, and there is the Pulverize onto 2. Equalizer is beautifully placed. At the same time as now Viper is just going to dash in and burst fire them all down. It's a double. The other AD carry going to get one as well. And he's now skating over the Nexus, getting shot at by 2 Nexus turrets without a care in the world. That is going to spell the end of the game as Frog versus Doran. We're going to watch that instead of the Nexus dying because it was a little bit more interesting. Some teleports going out, and that's the Harmalife Esports we're expecting to see this week.
It was relatively close until it really wasn't, Atlas. And it's showing the power of a team like Hanwha that effectively this game to me felt like it started turning after 2 simple plays. One was DRX being, what, like 3 seconds late to keep Frog safe in that sideline. Frog either we had to peel off or the reinforcements had to be there a couple seconds earlier. And then simultaneously, them trying to get the Dragon and failing because Zeka just kind of wandered into Sponge's face.
And it was as soon as that Herald fight happened that it was just kind of all over for DRX.
Yeah.
So I think it was one of these wars of attrition where It was whoever made that mistake first, and unfortunately for DRX, the pressure looked like it got too much for them, and you could see exactly that moment at about 15 minutes into the game where it all just started spiraling out of control.
You know what? 27 minutes, so basically that's an ideal League of Legends game, right? As far as it goes to win time, unless you're really stomping. I think this is a really cool game because you can vote for POG for everyone.
Yeah.
On Hanwha.
Is it just Delight, though?
Well, you know I did.
Yeah, that's my boy.
It's the summer of supports, Atlas.
Exactly. Justice for supports. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break it down, and we'll see you for game number 2.
다음 라인이야, 다음 라인. 공 준비됐고. 나 아래서 기대 쓸게. 나 천천히 볼게. 타워 쳐봐. 오케이. 자야 스턴 넣었어. 자야. 공 못 쳤다. 나이스. 앞에 나가자. 나이스.
Our second game. Sponge, Frog, not going to be subbed out or anything like that. We do still retain the Frog towards that top side. They've also elected to go back to the blue side once again as well. And let's just see whether anything is going to change. There are the first 2 bans that we were kind of okay with. Is the Vi also going to be taken away? That is our big question now. No.
Might first pick it. That might be the adaptation here, and then you can... you get the Vi, and then they will probably go Skarner, and then you can go Rumble, and that's fine. You know, that's a playable matchup. Rumble isn't banned. They're gonna go for...
We're gonna salty run back.
It's a salty run back, Atlas.
I don't like it, and it makes me sad, and I'm upset.
Well, we saw a salty run back yesterday.
Wait. The adaptation maybe is going to be... Yeah, I got so many channel points from that one. Oh, it was incredible. Anyway, we might see the adaptation in the second round of bans where the Zeri is banned. That might be where they adjust.
I don't mind the Zeri ban, but I also fundamentally don't think that is where the game went wrong.
Absolutely not.
Right? I think if you put Viper on Kai'Sa instead, the same thing will happen.
Whoa!
Okay, these are some good adaptations. Xin, to me, is a lot more well-rounded than the Viego. I think we saw Sponge. If they got an early kill, he popped off, but if he didn't, the fights kind of looked lopsided from there on out. Also, Teddy getting a lot more agency. I think Xayah and Kai'Sa both take some time to get going, but Kai'Sa, when she is online, is insanely strong, as it is going to be the Azir here for Zeka. I picked that. I am always perfectly lukewarm towards when it comes to him playing it. He's fine. He won't win you the game. He probably won't lose you the game either. He's there.
It's just not really, it's not one of the Zeka picks that you really associate him with, even though he was playing it predominantly when they did march towards winning a world championship. It's more like the Sylas, the Akali, things like that you really do liken Zeka towards. The Hui going to be taken away, though, from Yehu. That is one of the sacrifices that they did have to make. drafting this way. And they don't have to ban Kai'Sa anymore, so they can ban Zeri. And that might be what they're looking for here. I would certainly like it myself. And no, it'll be the cow, so never mind. Delight was the problem. Justice and respect to the supports is DRX's main aim here.
There's a lot of support bans coming through. Leona remains, I think, the highest in priority of what we still have left. A lot of choices. Zeri, Lulu is also still amazing. As we are countering Space Vayne with
regular Vayne. There we go. It's been a while since this has even been a theory, because it was just a theory at the beginning that Vayne was better than Space Vayne. It is, I think, still in solo queue considered a decent matchup. But Vayne is always one of these champions that is very game warping. We saw when it was used on the top side of the map, it was very, very dangerous. As Yehu is a dragon, kind of fun here, as Leona going to be considered. See whether that one is going to be locked away once again for Pleta. And then what is Delight going to be playing alongside this Vayne? Might just be Vayne Rel or something like that. We'll just have to see. Delight does excel on engaged champions, but he can play these enchanters as well.
Can be like a Lulu. I'm leaning Rel.
Lulu with the buffed knockup rate is like actually kind of huge. We saw Lehens perform very, very well on that champion.
There's a lot of token happening. I wonder if we're going to get something fun.
Ooh, Renata.
Okay. So Renata obviously really good into short-range characters. So that is the Xin Zhao, that is the Kai'Sa, and that is the Leona. Also in engaged supports generally, you're going to feel great. The combination though, Vayne, Renata, not one that I think we've ever seen, just mainly because Vayne obviously is not the highest priority. It does make the Humble Life comp a whole lot more awkward than the comp they had last game, though. Like, looking at this, it's kind of all over the place. I do think that, particularly towards the top side, this is a very straightforward draft. There's some wombo combos, you know, you can layer Violed with Equalizer, as we saw last game. You can throw a hostile takeover on top of that. But the last game's draft, I looked at them like, this is cohesive, this makes a lot of sense. You have AP, you have AD, you have a lot of lockdown, you have great engage. It's a little more all over the place, a little more limited here for Humble Life. For DRX, basically same as last game.
Yeah, this is, it seems a little bit like Humble Life Esports are flexing in this particular draft. I do want to say, as, yes, big Sponge fan there, I do want to say that Viper does have a really good win rate on Vayne.
Sure he does.
Do you know how much that doesn't matter? A lot, because he has a great win rate on actually every champion. The man has just been kind of terrorizing at the moment in solo queue, so doesn't really give us too much information, but it's upward of 63%. Something like that. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one's going to go. Let's jump onto the rift for game 2. Alrighty, here we are onto the rift for game number 2. Zeka moving on out. Going to be the Emperor versus the Celestial God Dragon. There's not many champions that can out-regal an Azir, but you know, I think that Aurelion Sol is definitely one that can get there. Frog has also decided to give up on the lawnmower, which makes me a little sad, but I think it's okay.
Maybe he was going for thematic cohesion because he's playing into Azir now.
Ah.
I'm pretty sure that's like the desert.
Yeah, a little bit more of a Shuriman vibe. Yep. Zeka is going to be commented a little. Commented? Not going to do that one again. Don't think so. Hit by a comet. And it does make some thematic sense there as well, because he's a dragon from space.
He is a celestial being.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of a base skin battle as well here in this mid lane.
They're base skin berries.
Yeah, I'm kind of into it. Could have been double of the cool mechs with you know, Aurelion Sol having the option into Doran's Rumble, which is the only Rumble skin that we ever see. Good old Super Galaxy, but that's okay. Zeka gonna wander away from Yehu here.
My personal favorite is Rumble in the jungle, which we've only seen
And Peanut plays it when he was playing Rumble Jungle. He would play it every time. He just dropped those pineapples on them, and I'm a huge fan of that skin.
It is actually my favorite.
Yeah,
I know that
too.
everyone goes Super Galaxy because of, you know, the way that the skin feels. Very smooth. Great job.
I thought it was all for the voice lines.
And just the annoying debuff for your opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just get to yell at them and say things all the time.
I
pretty happy that Zenith Blade misses, I think.
I'm just sad that we don't see more Rumble in the jungle.
Yeah, me too.
The best skin.
It is. 100% agree. I don't mind the Pirate Rumble as well, his release skin.
It's okay, but like you're saying, dropping pineapples
I know.
on the opposing team, it hits different.
Yep.
One of the cool things is that once we get to the later stage of the game, Yehu is going to have, you know, as Acel does, a completely unreasonable amount of knock-up range, which gives Teddy just... Every time Yehu is empowered, Teddy can just go on to anyone.
Yeah, you can just pick his poison.
Pick a target. There will be plasma stacks aplenty. The downside is that most people will blow you up in a very short amount of time if you do ult on top of them. So you got to be a little careful. And for Frog, I think we're mainly looking for him to just have a better performance here. And as I say that, he is getting danger zone overheated.
Yeah, and he was playing very well in the early game last time, as Sponge is going to find Peanut, does push him away, but right now, Peanut is in a whole host of trouble. Both of them have flashes. Doran is moving over, and Sponge is going to at least let Peanut leave now, but it might be another double scuttle here for the Sponge.
If it wasn't for Frog taking that big of a beating, he would have...
Yeah, Peanut could have just been straight up dead.
Yeah, he would have been dead, actually, because the E for Sponge was already up.
Ooh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I kind of remember that game as well. It was the Gumyushi experiment into a very broken Zeri at the time. And it didn't quite work out in that game? Was that the game?
No, because I think Broken Zeri was the year before that.
Oh.
And then, again, last summer. And then what's her score again right now?
She's 6-0, I think.
Yeah. Interesting how that works.
Not doing too bad.
Food for thought.
Well, let's see whether one of the answers is... I mean, it's not Zeri anymore. Thankfully, she's just not in this game. But I do kind of like the idea of Vayne being back.
Are we
as a bottom lane champion?
League of Legends players, if we're not complaining about something that isn't currently in the game while we're watching another game? What about Cassante, huh? Man, that champion sucks!
Yeah. No, I'm actually like... I don't know whether it's an unpopular opinion right now, but I actually think that Cassante's in a really good spot.
Yeah, he's fine.
You know? He's not just default being picked up.
There always needs to be one. There's always
there needs to be something that's like more frustrating.
That unites everyone.
Yeah, which is right now, I guess, Skarner, although we did just see it lose, and we also just saw it lose a big old trade. And right now, Doran is having a great time on this Rumble. So maybe it's not Skarner. Maybe it's just Rumble. But we can't be upset about Rumble because Huni.
That's my point. It's remarkable that we're not complaining about Rumble.
No, we can't.
He has been the best blind pick for like a year and a half.
Yeah. We've been bamboozled. Huni's got to us.
It's actually Huni's fault.
Yeah.
As soon as he leaves to the military, like, oh, wait a
second, Rumble's broken! As Frog is going to say exactly that, as Doran's going to overheat, still lights him on fire.
Doran hasn't backed yet. Like, he's going to have a mean old back when he actually decides to. And then he is just going to come into lane.
Ooh.
A whole lot of damage.
Well, Vayne doing all right here, but that's a nice Void Seeker there from Teddy. To figure out what's going on. Speaking of figuring things out, Peanut going to start off these grubs right on top of a ward. Sponge going to make a return visit. Let's see who's going to be able to take the first one. It is going to be Sponge, but it's Peanut focusing on the 1v1 that isn't going to be one of those for much longer. Zeka makes his way in. There's the Flash Emperor's Divide as Audacious Charge gets Sponge out there, or at least attempts to. Oh my god, he's still alive! The Equalizer not doing too much of anything at all as Yehu breathes on them as Sponge makes his exit.
I can't believe he lived! He just goes in, steals a grub, which you can if you have mid and bot lane prio. He had neither.
Yeah.
Didn't have either of them, and still has the flash. Still most of the grubs going over. Still a win for Hanwha.
Hey, he gets the flash out of Zeka though. You take those.
Yeah, I guess he does. Because what happened? I I'm baffled.
Please tell me what happened. I need to know.
I'm waiting for the replay because it's actually quite funny. Because I think he plays the beginning quite nicely in that he holds his flash because he's like, when Zeka goes for the shuffle, I'm gonna outplay him. And then it doesn't work. And then it doesn't matter. It's very funny. I can't wait to see another replay of it.
I really did like him holding
moment.
onto the Audacious Charge just to make sure that he had that as a potential exit.
Yeah.
Bit of a switcheroo there.
Somewhere, Brandon Valdez is yelling in agony as yet another pro player makes it out because of the blast cone.
True. But that was a bit of a fun one. I actually enjoyed that blast cone.
I like
skirting the vision here is
general.
Peanut.
Oh.
He is Owen Wilsoning quite a lot here. Well and truly behind enemy lines.
That's... that's like... When you think of Owen Wilson, that's the one I think of. I was like, look...
But when I think of behind enemy lines, that's what I think of, you know?
Wow, a lot? Like, what's happening? I'm like, how would you even know that?
Well, because he was the lead in behind enemy lines.
No, I mean, how would you even know that Peanut is saying a lot of wow right now?
Oh, that's true, actually. I assume he is, because he was behind enemy lines in the game. So he would have had to.
Yeah.
He's like walked in, he's like, wow, they didn't see me. Wow. It's not much of an Owen Wilson impression, I'm not going to lie. It's all right, Doran's going to get pushed away. But it's not really too much of a big deal, as the Rumble having a much better time in this lane as he did than he did last time.
Yeah, my second FUD would be, you know, Lightning McQueen. Like, I at no point would I think at behind enemy lines.
Uno mas? Okay. We can move on. We can move past it. It's not the first time I've made the behind enemy lines reference. I think that the first time was with Pup when we just had a discussion about the movie. It wasn't exactly the greatest of Owen Wilson's, as we might get saved by some action, as no, the boulder's going to go wide. Harpoon not though, as that's an equalizer. Gets the flash out of Frog, who is really getting trounced in this lane. Even the equalizer that was used aggressively kills the wave as well.
Yeah, particularly, so Frog is again a top laner that in Challenger was fine, but he wasn't a standout the way that someone like Thanatos, someone like Rooster, right? Someone like Perfect and or Casting has been in the past. And then he's also going up against Doran, who, for all his faults, I think it's important to note that Doran, at his worst, has just been a top 3 top laner in the LCK for the last couple of years. So it's a tough time, and Frog is really struggling here.
Yeah.
Last game, I think a lot of it also came down to the amount of attention that was being paid towards him, and they set up a bunch of dives. This time, though, it's just the straight-up 1v1, and it's not going very well.
No, and it's kind of the opposite of what we saw happening. I think the initial trades Frog really did well in. But this time around, it's all been Doran, so doing a great job thus far. Vayne going to be dashing forward, but Space Vayne having a really, really good time in this one. Sponge moving on in. He's going to try and capitalize on this. Decent vision available for Harmlife Esports, so they will get word of it, as they will not have to deal with a Xin Zhao just yet. Nice handshake there to get rid of Pleta. So no harm, no foul. Rylai's very close here for Yehu. Unfortunately, wasn't able to complete it on his last back. But once again, I mean, the game, as we move towards the mid-game, is still very, very even. Despite some advantages from Hanwha and the fact that it is feeling a little bit better than it was in the previous game, it is still anyone's at this point in time. And you already illustrated that some of the pitfalls as far as draft was concerned in game number 1 are not as prevalent here in game number 2.
Hanwha Life's comp, I think, can still be very oppressive, but it does feel a little bit more jank in that you don't
I see a Vayne and I'm like, this is not a well-crafted draft.
Well,
I don't know why, but that's just always how it feels to me.
If you had the Alistar, you would, but that was banned.
Yeah.
Rightly so. So unless you want to go for Rel, and I don't think that that's the direction that they wanted to go, I don't think Rel was quite as strong, and then you also have the fact that playing into the... They're like, not going Rel was one thing.
Oh no!
Frog.
Frog tried to just leave. He tried to exit, and it's not really going to work out. He is able to get the Impale off, but Peanut isn't going to die to the turret. Breaks the last shot that would have killed him, and so he's going to be absolutely fine. That is going to be first blood going on over, and yeah, the Zenith Blade going to miss onto Delight there as he wasn't slowed down by that Solar Flare. Yehu is able to get some free time with this mid lane, but I think This is definitely a great sign for Harmwell Life Esports as they cruise towards a mid-game with a couple of 1,000 gold in the lead.
If this does go to a game number 3, which right now is not looking very likely, I hope we see Frog get a counter pick and then maybe...
I want him to be on the Renekton. Because so far he's done really well on Renekton
and not
on anything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, he hasn't played a lot of games. But
I know, but it's a small sample size. I'm allowed to do it.
No,
Start of the season.
Right, you're right.
That's how we go.
It's true.
And he has played a lot of other champions, you know, in Challenger and stuff like that. But no, that's not what I want to look at.
Again, Frog not doing a great job, but also playing into a hard matchup and getting very heavily focused by Harmwell Life, which obviously for them is a great call. What we're going to need to see is DRX finding some of these mid-game team fights. Teddy currently sitting on only level 1 of his ultimate. I think especially at second level is when you get a really nice increase in your killer instincts and you get to do a whole lot more. Yehu also, particularly when he hit that 2 spike, at that point on, the ASO is just going to feel better and better. You have the empowered ult. And try and need to play around mostly the amount of CC that's available from Harmwell Life. Because if you try to engage straight up into a Renata and a Nazir, things are probably not going to go very well. And you also need to take into account the fact that Doran is quite big.
Yeah.
And is sitting on a powerful equalizer. As Plata, he keeps throwing these out.
He just like, he's fishing.
He is fishing. But even in the best case scenario, like you're hoping to get maybe a summoner. There, even if it hits, I don't know if it really does a whole lot of anything. And now you won't have that cooldown available.
Ooh, Delight. Looking for a little bit of an entrance into the enemy jungle. There are a lot of bad guys there, though, so probably not going to go for too much, as now he's going to have to take the northern exit. Nice Zenith blade. Decent handshake as well there, but the kitchen sink is now falling down on top of him. Teddy finds that backline as Yehu's going to look to flash away. Handshake not going to save Delight this time, as Peanut locks down the kill on the other side. So it's Dragon for Renata, and I guess you might take that if you're Harmwell Life Esports, but at least DRX are on the board.
Gonna take that trade for sure. A lot of summoners invested as well there by DRX. Sponge having to flash.
Inside track here for the mid lane as well. Not too bad. Sand Soldier's getting amongst it, so I don't think they're going to be able to kill this one, but Teddy kind of wants to commit as now Peanut taking a fair bit of damage. Plasma Proc's not going to come on through, and in the meantime, Viper is getting rid of that bottom lane outer turret. He will be able to get first turret blood, and that is going to move Harmwell Life Esports even further ahead.
See, the counter punch from Sponge here is going to be enough. Doran alone might be able to 1v2.
He is level 11.
Very strong here. Delight's also there. The main question is, can Teddy join the fight? Doesn't have a killer instant available. Sponge obviously does have his ultimate, but ultimate doesn't do a whole lot. If Rumble is right on top of you, but they don't want to risk it. They also do have Plata on the back making his way over, and they're just going to trade the Dragon instead.
Yep, they'll head towards this Dragon. We'll see exactly what soul we're going to get. As we'll know, there we are. So looks like Orcs is paying attention. We got some high-value Dragons in this game. My goodness. And Harmwell Life Esports already with 2 of them. As we tick over to 15 minutes into this game, some Cinders to be picked up, the fun mini-game to come on through. And a lot of extra damage on the table. And I'm looking at Doran and I'm thinking he's going to get even more scary. But he has Lucidity boots for some reason. He was like 4.5 Huni. Really? Well, if I can't get a 5 out of 5 with that great performance, it doesn't matter what shoes I buy. All right, so I'm going to get that handshake off. And Yehu, as you can see here in the replay, able to just flash his way out, but unfortunately cease and desist will kill him.
It's one of those situations where even though the bailout also doesn't save you, it still keeps some of the members busy. And Zeka also with his ultimate just creating a literal wall. So DRX couldn't really get into a position to maybe capitalize. And Viper just sold the whole thing. I was like, yeah, I'm just pushing bot, guys. Like, good luck. Deal with it any way that you would like. I have more important things to do.
I think Doran can possibly teach you the Song of Healing, by the way, with his build.
Because he has 2 masks?
Yeah, he's the mask salesman.
Nice.
Oh, there we go.
I have I never played
Majora's Mask?
Well, I've played parts of it, but not ever finished it.
Whoa!
Yeah, I keep waiting for the...
And you're good friends with Dracos as well?
I keep waiting for the inevitable Switch
You should just
remaster.
play it on the DS remaster was really good.
I know, but I never...
I've still got my my actually it was the DS released with the...
Yeah, but I want the remake.
The remake of the remake?
The remake of Majora's Mask.
The remake?
Which I'm sure is going to come. I don't know if it's going to be for, you know, this Switch or the next Switch, but there's no way that isn't coming at some point. Look, I waited for 1,000-year door, and now I'm having the best of times, Atlas.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I'll bring the DS tomorrow, though. You can get started, because I just don't think it's actually allowed for you to have not finished Majora's Mask yet.
I do love Zelda as well. It's my favorite series.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic game. Never mind. Okay, DRX. Let's see whether they can utilize all of this vision that they have planted on the top side of the map to try and get something done. It's still 3 minutes away from a Baron or anything like that. A lot of this was put down to try and get themselves this Rift Herald that they were successfully able to lock down.
Did get it.
And once again, the outer turret, very, very low. So some opportunities to maybe find something here in this game. But Frog very far away from being able to do too much of anything right now. He is on that bottom side of the map just clearing out that wave, but feels like tempo is well and truly in the hands of Homolife Esports, and they can utilize it so well with this draft.
One of the big things with Vayne, and the reason why we don't see her nearly as much, is that her wave clear is bad.
It's not great.
It's not good. It doesn't feel great to just auto an entire wave one by one minion, but that's kind of what you got to do. Whereas Teddy obviously has Shiv.
Oh, as well. Weather looking for that opportunity. Doesn't find the Zenith Blade, and now, yeah, this is looking real worrying. However, they just turn it onto Zeka. Yehu able to breathe on him, and it's going to be Sponge locking down the kill. I felt like Homolife Esports had them where they wanted them, but it turns out DRX were very happy about that fight.
Crucially,
oh, there's a killer instinct as Viper going to have to get out of there. Does so. Tumble going to be enough.
Uh-oh.
And now Teddy doesn't have anything, and he is really dead. Almost manages to kill Viper, but it's not going to happen. So the immediate punishment.
Teddy just tried to have a little bit too much fun. And
yeah.
we all know that's not allowed if you're an AD carry.
Precisely not. And Doran and Viper going to make short work of this outer turret in the mid lane as well. So that is a little bit of a pivotal mistake. And by a little bit, you don't say pivotal afterwards. It was a lot. It was a big mistake from Teddy, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can have a little pivot, but not in this situation, fortunately. A lot of map control gained here by Hanwha Life. And as in the last game, last time they stole the dragon, this time they just straight up got it. This next fight is going to have to be really big here for DRX. So take a look, a rare miss from Plata as he doesn't hit the Zenith Blade, but because Sponge spreads out the fight and Zeka's already too low, there isn't actually any damage, right? Renata doesn't do that much.
Yeah.
And then here Teddy just uses cooldowns. Like if he has his ultimate and he can reposition to get behind Doran and Frog can like drag him away, then he might be fine. Crucially, barrier also used. Right now, for DRX, this upcoming fight is a must-win one. They don't have a second item on Teddy yet. They would love to have that, but Sponge and Yehu are strong. I think it's going to be the two of them that will do the heavy lifting here.
Yeah.
So much damage.
Yeah, I mean, Yehu has the two ideal items, right? So as far as item spikes are concerned, this is probably the biggest one for the Aurelion Soul until, you know, some Magic Pen and a Death Cap come in. That's going to be a very long time into the game.
Look at Peanut, he's Owen Wilson.
All right, he's doing it once again. I love that that reference gets an extra bit of use. But he's now looking to try and wrap around and lock down.
Oh, they know, but they don't.
Yeah. This is sole point, remember, for Homolife Esports. If he gets in here and steals it away, there he is! As he's looking for Yehu, the equalizer comes down and he doesn't care about taking the dragon. He wants the kills, but he'll get neither as he's wiped out, and Yehu is going to be able to escape. Stage left. All right, there is Sponge making his way out of Zeka. Wants to get it, but he's just popped like a balloon. I don't know what the thought was behind that, but it was aggressive and he got punished.
Zeka cosplaying a pinata there says, hey,
oh, God.
I got some cinders, I got some loot.
Cosplaying a pinata that hangs itself up, you know? Oh, man.
Really did all the work there for him. DRX, not caught off guard, and I think they had an inkling that Peanut might be coming. And when Peanut goes in here, but it's a little too early. There's not actually that much follow-up on Yehu. There's only really Doran with his ultimate, but that's not enough. And then here Plata identifying that he needs to keep his backline safe, locks down Doran. And then because, again, Xin Zhao in these fights, I think, offers so much with the amount of space that he creates with his ultimate and the threat of an all-in. And DRX, they get the dragon, and they get a gold lead back, Atlas.
Exactly. 300 gold now the lead, and it looks somewhat similar to the gold advantage that we saw in game number 1. Although, Homolife Esports were able to get a little bit further ahead in this game, It is now turned around, and does that mean we get the same kind of momentum shift, you know? Is it a parabola? Like, what kind of graph are we looking at here?
Graphs are not my strong suit. I know the one you're talking about. You know, it's the one that goes up and then...
The quadratic or something like that.
Okay, no,
it's been a long time.
I definitely have the wrong graph.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the big... Oh, Sponge.
Yeah, he is going to get spotted and immediately punished. They do get the handshake into the wall there as well. But Sponge has an ultimate, and now he's going to turn it around. Oh my goodness, the bailout does nothing. And yes, they managed to kill the Zinzao, but at what cost? It is 2 going down for Yahoo. They'll grab one for the Space Vane wielded by Teddy as well. And now they're just doing their best to try and escape, but it's just not going to happen. Getting out of the way of this Skarner is a difficulty, and he even gets the Impale. Blind over the wall, gorgeously played. They'll turn this into a Baron. Looks like we're going to game 3.
The Unseen Frog is the deadliest Atlas. As Homa Life go in on Zinzao, and it just doesn't end up working out. Zeka.
Oh dear, well, Emperor's Divide is going to push them back into the pit. And he does, you know, shift some sands to get himself out of there. Teddy not able to chase him down. It's, oh, never mind. Oh, okay, that was too close.
Oh, Atlas, the DRX misstep in 2 crucial fights. Or Homa Life rather, DRX here. Sponge has no flash. But
he's got Crescent Guard. How many times have we seen teams just hard engage into a Zinzao and not do enough damage? It just happens all the time.
I think we again get a reminder that Space Vane is the better Vane.
Yeah.
Real Vane has to walk into
Although, wait,
range.
until, like, if he had Final Hour in this last moment, he could have successfully chased down Zekra, I think, after the shifting sands. So I just want to say that you know, Yahoo very happy about how that one went. Very confused as well.
That Impale range was a little silly.
It was.
The Rebel Baron power play showing, look at those purple borders. Big fan.
Yeah, that is a very scary DRX now that are marching towards Homa Life Esports' base. And as we were talking about it before, this gold lead only continuing to extend. Teddy giving them a good old thumbs up. And we did say that Homa Life Esports were perhaps cooking a little too much in the draft, and that may just be proven here.
You know why? It's because they're a tank, and for this to work, they need Delight to be on a tank.
Aha.
He's the driver of the tank, and right now, I don't know what he's...
And in fact, no one's driving a tank.
No one's driving a tank!
Yeah, maybe that's the problem. As Peanut, once again, trying to do that Owen Wilson thing, but we're in the arc of the storyline where things are not looking so good. It's looking dire. But whether or not it's going to go to DRX is yet to be proven. They are a team that have made some pretty pivotal mistakes in the past, and Homa Life Esports will be able to capitalize on it. But the problem is the DRX just have one of these comps where the further into the game you go, the happier you're going to be. There is that good old Aurelian Soul, and I didn't know whether we'd need to have the conversation about late game scaling, but we're going to have to now.
Well, in this one, I think it is a lot easier. I think it is very DRX faithful.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the last, and even though Vayne in a 1v1 is like nigh unbeatable when you get to the late game, right? Realistically, Vayne is a short-range AD carry that's trying to play the video game into ASOL.
Yeah.
Like, Yeo is very quickly going to get to a point where his E just invalidates Viper unless he finds the craziest angle. And again, and I'm going to keep going off this, and this is a conversation we've been having, and this is by no means specifically.
There's a solar flare. It's going to catch him right as Peanut went home. Delight is left to the wolves. He finds a handshake, but I don't think Doran's going to be saving him here, and Pleta wants to kill him too. Delight manages to try to bail himself out, but he's going to be just delayed death here. And that is another one going over to Teddy. Just disaster for Hanwha.
I haven't even finished my sentence. Teams with Delight always look incredible when he's on Engage, because his engages are insane.
Yeah.
Rel was open. He needs something to start a fight. That was what gave Homa Life such great angles in the last game. And I think with this comp, they didn't do themselves a whole lot of favors. And right now, DRX, multiple members need to miss that, because both Teddy and Yehu need to be taken down immediately, because either of them in an extended fight is just going to shred through whoever is available on Hanwha Life.
I want to point something out.
Yeah.
Have a look at Pledder's scoreline.
Yeah, that's
Remind you of anything?
He is looking like the light.
Yeah.
In the last game. It's the
Justice for support.
It's the supporting summer, Atlas. It's
They had an
happening.
agreement. They had an agreement before this series. They're like, you get the first one, I'll grab the second one, and then we'll fight it out in game number 3. As we check it out from Pledder's perspective, Peanut just goes home, and there was nowhere for this guy to go.
This engage here. Oh. Doran too late with the flash.
Yep.
So Pledder already has the beacon accident from that point on. 2 kills, more gold in the pockets of DRX, and Hanwha Life in shambles.
Yeah, more Infernal Dragons as well. 3 minutes until the third one available for DRX.
Yehu has a death cap, Atlas.
Yeah, and we were talking about the item spikes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that we weren't getting to this point, and we definitely are. 335 stacks here as well, and he has so much AP, almost 560 at this point in time. Yeah, this dragon is absurdly fed.
There was a question that was posed earlier, which is who's at fault for 6-game days? Brendan Veldis is not here today, and he was one of the people.
I mean, it's
running.
Digo.
Well, I've also been on all the when I wasn't there.
I know, but this one is not about. It's about Digo.
It is just his fault.
Yeah, it's Digo.
Because he's the new new guy.
And he. Do you know what? It also started happening as he made that terrible throw.
And then Hanwha Life made a terrible throw.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. So
coincidence? I think not.
I know. So remember, Digon, your throws, the better they are, the less likely there are going to be throws within the game.
It's
okay.
new. He doesn't know yet. It's fine.
He is, yeah.
It was our responsibility.
He gets week 1, but
we
then
should have told him.
Yeah, week 2. That's when you have to get it all right, okay?
Got to lock in.
We're expecting a well-oiled machine as he just steals away the big raptor as well. That is so rude. My goodness.
Okay, and we're already writing this one off. I want to reiterate, Hanwha Life is only 5k gold behind.
Ooh, Peanut able to Vault Breaker his way out. That's a flash.
Have a free item
no,
vein.
but Pledder just has better flash.
And Zeka, he does. But DRX, they should remain in control here. The thing is, Baron, very scary objective, especially when everyone on Hanwha is up. They do it very, very quickly, though. Aesol and a Kai'Sa.
Yeah. Now, this, if they do decide to kill the Baron will die extraordinarily quickly, and they only need the 2. It is going to be scouted immediately, as Teddy is just catching the wave right now. Hanwha Life Esports will be able to get them off this Baron for the minute. Let's see. Hanwha, they're going to need a miracle team fight if they want a chance in this game. And Delight, he could line up that hostile takeover to really find something here, but Solar Flare is going to go wide. Pledder is just consistently looking for these angles. But the more of these things that miss, now it's Flash on cooldown, Solar Flare on cooldown. It gets easier and easier for Hanwha Life Esports to find that miracle angle. Problem is that I don't know, man. Like, if Yehu gets to press R, maybe they all just die anyway.
They most likely will. Also, Teddy has obviously already gotten to the point where he has W Evolve a while back, but is now putting more and more points in that. Has not gone for the full AP build, but we have seen that if you can just keep landing these consistent Ws, even with the build, being repeatedly nerfed, and him going more of an unhit hybrid build, they're still going to chunk. Not to the same extent that a full AP Kai'Sa would, which I would love in this scenario, because Hanwha Life's engage sucks.
Yeah.
And full AP Kai'Sa would absolutely shred, but I can understand why they want to go for hybrid.
That's a big old teleport from Doran. They do not want to give up this Baron, as they're just trying to keep them out of the pit. Peanut, though, should be able to have an entrance here, as now Teddy moving into the back of the pit now himself. Peanut goes over. It's not going to be the steal, as now Frog finds the Impale onto 2. Teddy gets Killer Instinct into the backline and executes Peanut, and Hanwha Life Esports are routed. They were too far behind, and that will be the game-winning fight here for DRX, as Zeka is just looking to defect. He wants back to his old team, I guess. Walking in the wrong direction right now. Oh, never mind. It was a bait and switch. As now the Dragon getting employed here by Sponge. The rest of DRX are looking to try and finish this one off, as Zeka is going to be able to make it out. There we go. Congrats.
Makes it out. We'll see if he can have the hold of the summer. Because DRX, they're marching up. bringing us to a game number 3, and who would have thought that coming in, Atlas?
Well, I wouldn't have thought it after game number 1 because Humble Life Esports looked so incredibly controlled. Maybe after the draft you had a bit more of an inkling, but I didn't know that DRX had this in him. That was a nice handshake there from Delight, but I just don't think it means anything at all. Pleta sacrifices himself for the good of the colony, and DRX move us to a game 3.
DRX against Breon. They went to 3 games, and we don't really know what that tells you, but they won the series. Now against Humble Life, bringing us to a game 3 yet again, and I gotta say I'm a little stumped with my vote for POG.
It's Pleta.
He was fishing
one
a lot.
There's only one box on your selection plate.
You know what, Atlas? I am committing to the summer of support.
Oh yeah, there we go.
We are making it happen. But I do think Gehu, to me, was the other standout.
Oh,
I really
100%.
got to give him credit for the way he piloted a lot of these team fights, never being in reach while simultaneously maxing his damage. And Humble Life, you know what the coaches are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at that one fight where, for some inconceivable reason, they all tunneled onto Xin Zhao.
And it's one of these things that's been plaguing the LCK for quite some time. I actually even felt like at MSI, like the answer to our teams was to just pick Xin Zhao because they will try to kill him. And he's very difficult to kill. Sponge proving that once again. But it is now time for us to go to a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break that one down. Digon will explain himself, and we'll head towards game number 3.
이거 할게. 야, 레오나 가져. 내가 갈게. 야, 나머지 가. 내가 가. 나머지 미드 가봐. 아, 내가 안 끝날 것 같아. 끝나. 문제. 시끄러웠어. 필. 가비. 내가 뭔데 끝날 것 같은데? 해봐. 바로 와봐. 이거 돼. 내가 바이 노궁해. 아지를 높으려고. 내가 몸 라인 들어갈 때 타워 해줄게. 해봐. 일단 타워 쳐봐, 나머지. 아지 노궁해 했지. 아지를 높으려고. 타워 들이밀어. 자, 타워 쳐봐. 내가 타워 해야 돼. 타워 해. 못해. 라인. 타워. 오케이. 나이스. 같이 하면 이기잖아.
Let's dive into it though. Game number 3, the final one. We will not get a game 4 in this series. This is where it's all decided. And Talia going to be banned away. So we've got a bit of a mix-up here as we, of course, have Humble Life Esports moving over to the blue side. They will try that for the first time this series. And in fact, their last victory on the red side was their first of the season. So in game number 1, that was the first time. Of course, sample size of not very much. But still, this is definitely their preferred side that we've seen so far.
What is going to happen as the bans don't change compared to game... Ooh.
Aha. This is a bit scary because Viper has already got a victory on this particular champion. and he looked very, very strong. Ash has been basically permabanned, and so what does Teddy have in store? That's the big question.
So not only, so you also gotta pick away Rumble, because Ash Rumble is also a very obnoxious bottom lane. Don't want to play into that. Could have been an angle. Frog is going to pick that here. Doesn't mean you're probably going to give over to Skarner. You can look in Skarner for jungle, but I don't think that is quite the same level of threat. They're going to instead pick up the Corki, which is a flex pick. Don't know where that is going. Could also be going to Teddy here.
Yep, Teddy's already played it, I believe, as well. So
most likely, though, obviously going to be here the pick for Yehu, but there is a decent amount of flexing available here for DRX. Doran, he had one great Skarner game and one game that didn't quite hit the mark.
What is it? Are we going for like is it a 3.25 star scoreline if it was going to meet in the middle?
Sure.
I think that's about where it gets.
Average.
Yeah. How do you average out the other two? It's going to be the question. That's going to be Frog attempting to do that. And that way he can beat out on the last one. Unfortunately, not quite get there for the first. As Zeka is going to try it again. We may have the El Clasico in the mid lane. You'll love to see it. Corki versus Azir. You might be able to remove the packages. That doesn't stop these games from delivering.
I do not love to see it. I've had enough of my fair share. As we do take a look here, Jhin gonna get locked in for Teddy. Jhin right now quite strong. Obviously will struggle with taking down the Skarner. That is one of the big worries here for DRX. But Jhin, and particularly with the Rumble, I quite like the amount of punishing you can do if someone, you know, kind of commits to a fight, just taking a look-see, and then you equalizer, then you throw the Jhin ultimate on top. Can definitely be something. As DRX continues saying, Delight, you are very good at engage supports. We do not like you playing them. They might just ban. Oh yeah, I love this Leona ban, because now, at the very least, they might leave open Nautilus and just R4 it here.
I mean, that's probably what DRX are looking for. What does that mean for the final ban here on their side, though? Because it's likely Harm Life Esports will not let that happen.
Renata? Even though I don't think Delight had the standout Renata performance, playing Nautilus into Renata is really obnoxious.
That doesn't sound great. But they just banned the Nautilus themselves. Never mind.
Maybe it's an R5 counter pick for Pleta.
It might be the R4 Rakan angle.
Oh, actually, that's a very good... It could be that. I do think the laning phase with that combo becomes a lot weaker. Or you wait out, see what Humble Life end up picking, and then if they end up going for, say, an Ashe Seraphine, you can crank them.
Oh, true.
I do think the Rakan actually is more likely, also because it is a denial pick towards the light. We'll see what is in the cards here for DRX.
Certainly some options. Like you say, I think Xin Zhao being banned away makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
The Rel used to be a flex, sadly, not anymore. As Pleta is thinking about that being the direction he wants to go. Taking some time before the lock-in, you can see he is considering what's going on. And there are a lot of things to consider. The Vi will be the pick away, so that is where they're going to go instead. Like you were talking about, go for that counter pick on that bottom side. I do like the idea.
Also a pick away from Peanut, whose Vi is very, very strong. All right, Planet, do it. Lock in that Janna if they go Rel. This is your opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
We're not locking Janna. Janna isn't real. Unfortunately, Rakan is most likely here for Pleta, also one of his favorite champions.
Yep.
For Humble Life, I think the composition is all right, but I don't... Again, it's the same issue I had with Sponge in Game 1, where to me, Viego excels when you play him. There's a reason why Viego-Lissandra is like such an iconic combo. I think Viego-Ari is another. When you have these mid-lane threats that can just 100-0 a target, if you find a good CC stun or a good CC chain, it just really enables this pick. This time around, they're going to be reliant on Delight to start fights. That is a big upgrade for Humble Life, and I think they're going to be feeling a lot better. I still don't think that this is like a 10 out of 10. I feel like their draw rates in general, thus far, this split have been
I kind of agree.
Quite hit or miss.
They have 2 tanks, though, this time.
Which, that's the amount of tanks they need.
Yeah, at least. So that's going to be a whole lot better, especially a team represented by tanks thematically. Does make a lot more sense there. So let's see what Doran's Impales are going to look like in comparison to Frog's over the last couple of games. And whether or not Frog can do the same thing that Doran did in game number 2. The lane was not very playable for the Skarner that time around. Game number 1, slightly different story. So we've got warring fans here in the audience as well. Definitely a whole lot of fun. And making it to the final game of this best of 3 makes sure that we keep up that drama. Absolutely fantastic. I think that things a little bit more even than game number 2 as far as the draft is concerned. I still think that DRX have a lot of things that they can leverage moving into the mid to late game, but doesn't have the longevity of the last. Let's hop into it.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are. And I think we need to dive into it just a little bit more about how these drafts are going to work holistically. I think we've had a few discussions about lanes and things like that and how they're going to work, as Delight is going to interrupt us perhaps, but no, Sponge is going to move away. Moves into the brush. So DRX's composition, it's not exactly tanky, but they can blow someone up pretty quick. Is that just going to be the aim of the game? It's like put an equalizer down, hope that Sponge is going to cease and desist on top of it, and then you kill someone and then go from there?
Yeah, basically. All right, cool. With the amount of burst you have available, I think realistically you can even get for really anyone that isn't Doran. You have also, what I personally love is a good amount of CC for equalizers, right? One of the big things that we saw in the last game is that it didn't really feel like there was nearly as much ways for Doran to play off with his ultimate.
Oh, yeah, actually going to get caught out of position here just a little bit. Yeah, does have to take Valkyrie first.
Oh, that
suboptimal.
That is really rough. One of the big parts of what makes Corki so strong is that his early damage with his Gatling gun is very, very uninteractive, and it also allows you to have a lot of control over the wave. And that is not going to be the case here, because Doran is like, Frog, I'll show you why people are respecting the Skarner.
Oh, there's another crash down here onto Pleta. Pleta actually standing his ground. They are going to be able to win this one out. Really nicely done there. Teddy looking good on this Jhin so far, as Viper is going to fight back and maybe eat those words. There's the flash forward. The Ignite is now down there looking for it, but Teddy is down so low. First blood going over to DRX, but it's Viper that's still left in the lane. And look at this damage really starting to stack up here. He's pressing the attack, and it is working.
Somehow, Yehu also not only able to hit level 2 at the same time as Zeka, but still fine in this lane. Aggression coming out here from the Corki, and man, the gold positive for DRX because they got first blood, but as you point out, that's a kill going over the Viper. We'll see how much of this wave Teddy is able to actually catch. I do think the call that he made though was correct, which is just go in and try to maximize damage. Yehu.
Oh dear. The unseen
this is a level 1 rel
is the deadliest as he just face checks. There is going to be Zeka turning up as well. He has another Valkyrie. He'll get over the wall, so he doesn't even need to use a summoner spell, so never mind. Maybe a little bit overexcited there.
Yeah, because Delight's level 1.
Yeah.
And he was going to back in TP anyway, so sometime, you know, being bot here for Zeka, not going to be the end of the world, as we do see Frog, even though he took a bit of a rough trade there early on, is going to, being resourceless, especially pre-tier, really bully Doran around.
Yep, having a pretty good time. You can see that Sponge was in the area to try and assist. Not going to go for any sort of gank or anything or dive onto Doran.
Oh, Teddy, he had an inkling.
Yeah, Hex Splash being charged there. Delight not going to head out of the brush though. Doran turning... actually didn't go for a back. I actually thought that maybe he'd go for some sort of reset, but decides not to. Wants to be able to go for that later when he can afford something a little bit nicer from the shop.
There was an Ignite, could have been a dive angle, but there's not.
Yeah.
Really haven't been seeing, even Huni has been giving people the pass for not going Ignite. And I think that we saw this particularly with the lane swap meta, that if you do get lane swap done and you have Ignite, it actually just ends your game immediately. So you really got to play a bit more respectful.
Oh, there it is. Doran managing to find the pushback. Frog is going to flash away, but it's not going to work as Peanut will be able to cut him down. Possesses the Rumble and will just use him to take down this Gromp.
Big thing here is that Peanut is there. This is something we saw Lucid and Kingan do a ton as well in the Skarner. Skarner in the 1v1 is obnoxious enough, but it's particularly his setup for ganks that is completely insane. And right there, we see a good example of it.
Yeah, let's have a look at it one more time. Doran just flashes so he can push Frog to where he wants him.
The E range can feel a little bit uninteractive. Frog on the receiving end of that one.
It also feels a little bit like the same power level as an ultimate.
Yeah, it's just as E.
Yeah.
That reminds me of, there was another champion that did a whole lot of this.
Oh, yeah.
Tank champion, yeah, with a lot of skill expression.
Oh, yeah, and is able to do that thing where he pushes you around a little bit.
Yeah, and he himself, you know, doesn't really care when people engage with him.
Got it.
Can't think of the champion, though.
No,
haven't seen him in a while.
Nah.
Wonder what he's up to.
Not once today. I'm sure we'll...
Not once today. It's true.
I'm sure we won't see it for the rest of the day. Right, guys?
No, it's just Skarner Rumble every game.
Aha.
I hope that helps.
Looking forward to it. Of course, we do have T1 versus Genji coming up after this.
Oh.
Battle of our MSI representatives. Very exciting one. And we might get some Cassante there. We'll just Keen versus Zeus. Both of them, they do like him.
Yeah, I was actually setting up a decent amount of tweets about, you know, it's going to be Genji T1 again, because they didn't actually meet at MSI.
True.
Which is crazy to me. They always meet. I didn't this time around, unfortunately.
No, I think it's fortunately, to be honest. We've had too many team kills, right?
Well, Atlas, I'm an LCK caster. If I had Genji T1 in MSI finals, I would have.
Oh, it'd be great if it was the finals. Yeah. That's okay. But
oh, you mean in general?
Yeah, say they just meet in general. It's like you don't really want that.
I've gone full circle on it a bunch of times. You know, I'm right now. I'm loving
now
it.
with double elimination.
No, give
it does feel less.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's what you will know. Look at other matchups. It's fine.
They should meet in the upper bracket and then again in the final. That's how it should.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it should realistically go. So we'll work on that as we...
hey, don't give away the script for our playoffs bracket.
Oh, no. It doesn't include internationals, so don't worry. The script is purely
for the
LCK.
I meant for our playoffs.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't want to know that one.
I really don't.
No.
I love the mystery.
Sometimes we just... we have some regrets about what we wrote down, but we felt like it was so many years in the future, we were like, it's fine.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think Frog might be in some trouble here.
He could potentially be, as Doran's going to ram him into a wall. Peanut going to turn up, just wandering in. He'll find the Q, he'll find the stabs, and there was just nothing Frog could do. Like, where is the counterplay opportunity there?
So the main lesson we're learning here is that Sponge should have pathed the top more.
Yeah, I think Pleta should have pathed top as well. And Yahoo should have also pathed top. That could have been enough.
We're getting a great lesson as to why the Skarner has been banned a lot.
Yeah, and also Frog is getting a good lesson as to how to utilize it, because we didn't really see this from DRX in the laning phase. He was kind of just left on his own and wasn't used like this, you know, gank money farming machine that Doran has been able to do.
I understand, you know, Frog probably is only studying for the King test and he didn't know he had to take the Doran test.
Yeah.
That's a hard test. You know, many a good player...
Is it a Doran test or is it a Peanut test?
Yeah, can be both.
Might be a bit of both. There's now Viper and Delighted just chasing Teddy and Pleta down. Dancing Grenade not going to really do too much there, and they are just going to be able to shove him out. Just a recurve bow here for Viper, but he's feeling like it is enough to give him a whole bunch of control. Not going to be too far behind in the farm is Teddy, but it is still a lane under control for Humble Life Esports, and this one's looking a whole lot better than game number 2. As Doran is just going to short throw the boulder. A little bit unfortunate there, but it's fine. And Sponge finally going to turn up. Should be able to make it into this brush unseen.
But they don't know about the ward.
Yeah. Unless they do.
It's not paint. So I think he's going to try and sneak in. But yeah, Doran playing it very safe here. Not showing one way or another as there we go.
All right. Now he's going to be able to sweep that one out. And we'll end up heading back home once again as well. Peanut also on vision here towards this bottom side, so Teddy going to be playing very respectfully, heading home himself as Viper was fresh off a reset. So a bit of stuff being purchased here. Got some steel caps for Viper, who can play Battle Ash, I guess. And otherwise, it is pretty slow going this stage of the game. About 500 gold, the lead for Humble Life Esports as it stands.
You know what I love about Corki? You can just buy anything.
Yeah.
Just do whatever. Collector first? Sure. Opportunity first? You know, it's a different without it. Yeah, can do.
Try play. You can play Ultimate Bravery and it just doesn't even really matter. Thornmail
I
first,
think-
probably not it.
Yeah, that I would stay with damage items.
Yeah.
That's the one funny thing, right? Because of the way it was reworked, his AP ratio. So I guess AP is worse on it now, even though he also, you know, previously scaled AP by buying AD, which was I don't know, that always felt peculiar to me.
Yeah, it did. Peanut going to build a thematic item whilst also utilizing a thematic skin based on his teammate in the bottom lane.
Very cool.
Kinda cool.
Take a look here, and we see Peanut. That's a lot of movement towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, definitely has been around his lane as a whole lot more than Sponge as well. Hoping to see a little bit more from Sponge, of course, does like to get to level 6 fast, but he's made it to level 8 now, and we haven't really seen a cease and desist out of him just yet. As Yahoo just trying to scale up like you were talking about. Wants to build
fight
towards
here.
a item spike of some kind, as Zeka's just going to get knocked up by the Grand Entrance and doesn't even really seem to notice as he walks away.
Oh, yeah, this is a bit of unfortunate timing here for Frog because he desperately needs it back. Because he's sitting on a lot of gold, but that means that he's just going to go over.
Yeah, Sponge not able to get in there in time. And Viper up towards the top side of the map. Frog just going to take his leave.
Oh, I think, he keeps canceling his back. But he really needs one. Maybe hoping for a misstep, but I don't think Viper and the Light are going to fall for that one.
Yeah, I think they were just expecting, like Frog wanted to make sure that Humble Life Esports didn't overstep because they were expecting him to go for a back because they knew that he had too much money and blah, 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 blah. They're not going to be able to capitalize on anything. Just playing it safe by the water. And we do recommend it. As Zeka versus Teddy. Not exactly the mid lane matchup that we were promised, but it is what we have right now. Teddy just doing his best to hold on to the wave. And what are you feeling in the waters? Because my waters are feeling a little bit more similar to Game 1 rather than the similarities of Game 2.
Yeah, Humble Life has done a couple of things here. They have not picked Vayne.
Normally a positive. Unless it's top lane, in which case it feels okay.
No, 80 carry Vayne. Sorry, 80 carry Vayne specifically. And they have Delight on an engage report. So I'm feeling great for the Humble Life odds. At the same time, though, the fact that we're even discussing this in the first place, I think is something we should
celebrate,
savor and celebrate while we're at it, because it is very unexpected. DRX, as you point out, for a long time they were contesting with Breon for teams that maybe won't get a win until they meet each other, and then someone just by definition will have to, but it's not looking too hot to stepping up to Humble Life, who I think their meta read is definitely lackluster. But the team fights from DRX have genuinely looked good, which is such a step up over last time around in spring.
And they look like a team that is playing with some confidence as well. And that is something that was sorely lacking in the last season. And I think that a lot of people are still huge fans of Teddy. I think there are starting to be more and more fans of players like Pleta. Frog has the coolest name next to Sponge here in the LCK. We have like actually two of the best names in the league are on this team. There is a lot to like about this DRX.
And Pleta, you can be a hipster, you know, like with Delight when it was on Brian, you can be like, this guy is such
Can you? Because like Orcs was already voting for him in All-Pro last season.
No, but I think the public at large will still be like,
true.
This is the same thing that happens with LCK CL players, where they're like, oh, any LCK CL player that goes overseas is an LCK reject. I'm like, no, that's not really how that works.
Apart from Thanatos.
Why would you do it to me on cast? I can handle it when it's a joke backstage, Atlas. Why would you bring it? You know that Raz directly called me out? You know Cubby? You know TV man messaged me as well. I was like, first of all, you know, great job. How have you been? Secondly, I'm so a cute Thanatos segment chronicler. By the way, he's here now. I'm like, I know! I'm very well aware.
Oh, that's perfect. I actually felt like Raz's response to it was my favorite part. Just the cackle, because I saw it with his face, you know?
Oh, yeah.
He does that all the time. Oh,
it's class. I love Raz, man.
That is
I tweeted something, you know, vaguely threatening, which he also knows is not really my brand.
No, not really.
When it comes to challengers, I think it makes sense. Right now, DRX should be at least feeling confident to set us up. And again, they have so much damage, but you need to find these early picks.
Oh, I thought Sponge might be about to press the R button, but decides not to. We'll just
Retake
back away.
control.
Man, it almost looked like we were going to have some action, but instead, Life
we
Esports
still
just
will.
wander into the river.
I'm telling you, that combo of Frog, Teddy, and Sponge, that's going to be the big one. Sponge does get spotted, so they know this is coming.
Yeah, let's see where this equalizer is going to land. Let's see what Sponge can actually find. A cease and desist comes in. They do manage to layer the equalizer over the top, but Delight with the counter engage is decent. As Peanut locks down 2 already. Teddy's burning. He's going to go down as well. And Frog, nothing he can do. Yahoo is now fighting against a very fed Peanut, who might be able to find a triple on the back end of that. That is going to be an ace in trade for just a pigeon. And Life Esports, where have we seen this before?
Just like that, this game goes from being a fun affair to Life just completely taken over.
Yeah.
One play was all they needed. You know
it's the same play from game 1?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. 2 things here are really big. One is that the engage, even though it's successful on top of Zeka, actually does take a little bit of time because, again, they know this is coming, and it's only onto Zeka. And then Delight with the Magnet Storm, then the Q, and then the Impale from Doran. Right? And from that point on, I talked about DRX. Ideally, you want to find one target, blow them up. You have great follow-up CC, and they did, but it also works the other way around, because even a single kill will set off Peanut.
Oh, that is just dirty. It's just dirty. And that combo needs a name. So is it Magnet Impale or Impagnate Storm?
Oh, I thought you were going to go with, like, Warner.
No. No. I kind of like Impagnate Storm.
I don't think it should be that.
You don't think so?
No.
I think it's Impagnate. I'm going to go with Impagnate Storm.
I like Magpale.
What?
Magpale.
Magpale?
It's like Macbeth, but instead he impales.
Why is Macbeth there?
I don't know.
Why did you put him? What?
It's like Mag.
Ah, Magnet. Ah,
from
yeah.
Magnet.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Or he could just go easy and just go Mimpale.
Yeah, I got a bit confused there. I thought you just started speaking Dutch out of nowhere. And
that does happen.
Very confused. It has happened at some point, but mainly it's you on purpose. As Doran's going to be picking up more rocks and walking around. And we're not going to lie to you guys. We feel like this one might be just done after this. As Life Esports certainly finding exactly what they wanted in that last fight. You can see Doran, he's feeling it as well. Because he knows that he can just walk up and find anyone, and they will probably die. They're going to move in. They're going to collect themselves the first Hextech Drake of the game, as we've only had these pivotal souls so far today. It's been absolutely fantastic. So many clouds yesterday, right? Wasn't it the best? In the first series, at least.
On the non-Atlas day as well.
I know. I was just sitting there watching, just having the greatest of times. Got my channel points from the KT victory in game 2.
And then
watched the movie.
And then turned off.
Yep, and watched the movie. It was great. So right. Ooh, bit of face checking as Peanut did not quite have enough teammates. As Doran is now just impaling the Rumble. And he's kind of, well, he doesn't have a lot of damage. He is just going to be able to smash him against the wall, though, and that is going to do it. That's a solo kill under a turret for the Skarner. He's 2-0-6. He's got 2 full items, and there was not a whole lot Frog could do.
I'm a glass half full kind of guy. This is going to be a very valuable VOD review for Frog. Right, and that's the reality of the situation. If you get beaten on both sides of a matchup,
yeah,
there should be a lot of takeaways.
Not quite able to do too much here, as Splitter is able to avoid the Shattering Strike. Still, Life Esports just making sure they get as much vision in the enemy jungle as possible, set up for a potential Baron that's going to be up in a minute. It does feel like Baron probably should exist on the map right now, but with the amount of acceleration that Life Esports have put into this game, it is not even Baron time yet. They're going to take down this outer turret towards the bottom side.
Oh, no, we don't. Oh.
Did we need to?
Did we have to?
Another wall slam, and Doran just fights him enough to get another one.
This is very self-explanatory. I don't feel like I need to explain to everyone what's happening.
Doran did buttons. He pressed what feels to me like the equivalent of 3 ultimates during that fight, and Frog.
Obviously, a lot of the ire, and I think understandably, will go towards Skarner. I do think it's important to note, though, that...
I mean, we saw Skarner look pretty balanced the last couple of games.
That's my point. Like, it's the same when we look at, I think, champions like Cassante, right? Once he got tuned out, obviously released and like early Cassante was a whole different beast, but recently, even if looking as recently as MSI, obviously everyone loves memeing it, and I'm personally a big fan of Showmaker, so big fan of the meme. But realistically, there was a lot of skill expression. I think we're seeing another example of that here. The problem is that, you know, if you do know what you're doing.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm very scared. Jonas Strong really.
Oh
no, make it stop!
Okay, they get the flash, but there's the impale. They just can't do anything about it, and Frog is once again dead. On the other side of the rift, it is going to be Zeka falling down. So it is a trade of 1 for 1. And in fact, you know, I guess there was a bit more invested on DRX's side. But if you are the team that's behind, it does feel better to be able to get something back, as Viper was in the mid lane, and now he's just looking to kill Teddy, who does flash. Doran was coming in. That's a few too many turret shots for an Ashe, but maybe he's just fine.
What? That 2 versus like 4, and they're still like, I guess it's free. Frog isn't up yet.
Yeah, and Yehu is going to be able to grab themselves some bounty gold as he takes down this turret as well. So
Portler Gaming
is going to be able to do it. The rest of Harmalife Esports moving on over, but it's a bit of a drive-by there from Doran, realizing that there was going to be some support. So Sponge able to guard the gates.
Bit of Tokyo Drift there from Doran.
Liked it.
So that's the better of it. What's your favorite Mario Kart game?
Favorite Mario Kart? Interesting. Probably Mario 64.
Really?
Because I played it the most.
Yeah, fair enough.
Although I loved the SNES one as well.
Very straightforward. In case you missed it, what happens is Zeka walks up and then he gets Vine. Also, if you're jungler and top or diving on the other end of the map, maybe don't walk into underwater brushes.
Yeah.
Could have been a good angle, but this game isn't about Zeka whatsoever.
No.
So it doesn't really matter.
It's probably
Double
Mario
Dash,
Kart 8. No, Double Dash is terrible. And I love the GameCube, but that was not a good game.
I played it when I was very young, and I will not hear any opinion to the contrary.
Oh god, it was such a departure.
I think
what made that
I
series
think
good.
Objectively, it probably is Mario Kart 8, right?
Yeah,
like
8's really good because you get to play the bikes if you like the bikes, and you've got a bit of a fight here as Pleta is going to have the grand exit. He will be able to successfully do that as the arrow finds Frog. Can Frog catch a break? He can catch an arrow, but he can't catch a break.
This unfortunately happens when players, you know, come up from Challenger and they haven't really had a lot of experience yet with playing in the LCK, and they just. Zeka, what about?
He just wants.
It's fine. It's fine. He's not walking towards the brush. He's learning. Yeah, there you see question mark ping.
Yeah. Well, Sponge is still in the brush.
He's still waiting. This dragon is obviously now not going to go anywhere. Well, it is.
And what is the strategy? So
no, you hope he walks up and then you kill him and then you try to Nash.
Yeah. Or do they? Maybe they can get in, clear out some vision, and try and threaten it. But like, I just don't think that's going to be hard. Look at the cool items that Doran has. He now has a Freezy Heart and the Freezy Clothes, and he's just 3-item Skarner, and he's almost unkillable. When you've got a Rumble on 1.5 items and the tank looking over from the other side of the map is just happily building armor and just not phased, you know that something might have gone wrong, as Arrow is going to once again hit not the target, but the other guy, as Teddy takes that one to the head.
Viper's hit rate is great.
It is.
Like, when you just look at, not intended target, but just hitting
a champion, yeah. As Doran is just walking menacingly towards Yehu, and he is just going to get impaled. Great crash down and Magnus Storm from Delight as they lock up the Corki. Harmalife Esports now looking for even more, as Doran can just throw boulders around, walk over walls, do all of those things. And Harmalife Esports, they just might have Baron on the mind.
Can anyone kill Skarner in this game? Because there is Jin.
Doran. Doran is the only one.
And you know, I could see him do it.
Yeah, as Pleta is just going to get closed in on. It's a decent equalizer position, but unfortunately it just doesn't do damage. Well, it actually maybe does, as it's a double kill for Teddy. But like you were saying, who kills Doran? No one but Doran, and he is able to walk out of that one with more than half of his health bar. That's another ace, and the damage dealers are still up for Harmalife Esports, so they'll take a Baron.
Doran is the king of his own destiny.
Oh,
he
yes.
decides what, and he doesn't die. Right there, it says a lot about the game state when you get Rakan charmed and violated on top of an equalizer in a choke point.
Yeah.
Because that's...
It was about as everything that could go well as possible.
It really was. As we see here, very straightforward. Doran finds Yehu, ends up getting the CC chain, but there is a decent amount invested here, right? You invest in Pale, the Light invests Magnet Storm as well. And then right here, this is like the best case scenario that you're going to get as they throw a lot into Plata, but he ends up staying alive. Like, this is all on top of the equalizer. So yeah, the Light goes down. Yeah, Peanut goes down, but I don't think Viper needed to flash there. I don't think Viper was needed. Full stop. I think Doran was very, very, very well equipped to take care of that by himself. He's like, thank you, Viper. I appreciate the moral.
Well, also Viper can slow them down so that the Scorpion can just keep waddling at them.
Yeah, you're right. Skarner doesn't have enough.
Yeah, not enough CC.
Not enough.
Not enough CC. So got to slow them down so that Doran can happily do all of that big damages that he has available to him. That's precisely how it
I gotta
all works.
say, as a series, still, I think DRX major step up.
Absolutely.
We
have to put it into the context of this being a DRX that really struggled to find any wins
if I
whatsoever.
remember correctly, they hadn't found a game win since spring of last year against Home Alive.
Yeah.
So
this is still absolutely.
I think it's a glass half full situation for Home Alive. Funnily enough, I don't think they're going to be happy after this because they already lost to DK, and yet this series will end up being a 2-1. But if you're a team that is genuinely contesting for winning the LCK,
not going to find too much, as the Magnet Storm also isn't exactly the greatest, but are the wallets just too heavy? And according to Frog, I think they just might be. Pleta not going to be able to get out of this one either, is just going to get punched to death. Zeka also able to take down the Corki. And now the curtains are being called, but for who, Teddy? That is the question. As there's the flash, just the flash ram into the wall. And Teddy not going to be able to find too much here. He'll get back to his fountain, but he's not going to save his Nexus. And Home Alive Esports, they took a little bit of a trip away from victory in game number 2, but they came right back here in game number 3, and they are now on the board here in the LCK. And definitely something that our third place team from spring probably should have been able to achieve a little bit earlier, but definitely looking good in this last game.
Win is a win.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
Home Alive gonna take it. Yeah, we've only had one.
Yeah.
We've had one unanimous PUG so far.
I think this one might be somewhat
the second one. Maybe we'll have like the one Peanut
It's second,
vote.
right?
Oh, yeah. No, it's the summer of support, Atlas. So obviously, we're voting to Light.
Yeah.
As Doran teaching Frog what it means to be a top laner. Sometimes when you start falling behind, the game becomes very unplayable very, very quickly.
And I also think that it wasn't a throw in this game. It was an outplay. Because the setup for the engage at the Herald was basically what DRX wanted, and then Home Alive Esports did it better. So it was, if Dagon does a good throw, then we have better League of Legends.
The causal effect, it's linked. It's 100%
That's
guaranteed.
proof. I think that's proof.
We're going to disregard any form of scientific method, and right now, that is our truth. Alex.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I
No
learned it
sample
all
size.
from Orcs. He taught me all about it.
Zeka, I think, really not having his best day. The last game kind of being the best example of that.
His Tristana was pretty good in game 1. Just
that is true.
The Azirs were a little bit of a departure.
Yeah, that I think is the main takeaway from this. For Home Alive, I hope that they don't take this tour and they mainly look at it as, again, a reaffirmation. When it comes to our team fight, we're a top-tier team in the LCK, right? If we actually have a composition that allows us that combo with the Light going in and then the follow-up coming through from Doran, I think is great. But
heads held high on the side of DRX, though. As we can see here, I don't think that anyone is going to be too hard on this team. They're very, very young. There is so much potential for all of these players. And with some guidance and, you know, with Teddy helping them out, I think that there is a bright future as this season goes on, but just not quite in this particular series. And being able to pick up that one game in game number 2, absolutely fantastic stuff. As this is that moment we were talking about. Delight's re-engage, utterly glorious, setting up Doran for that impagnant storm, as we were talking about.
That right there, if you're a Delight vote, that's your moment. You know, when you're like, yeah,
yeah.
that was
I watched
Doran.
this replay, and honestly, that was the most important part of the game. So maybe there's an argument.
Yeah, I do think this one might end up being unanimous though, because credit where credit is due. Yes, Peanut paid a lot of attention, but even before that, Doran in the 1v1 was already.
I mean, it was kind of like Doran ganking for Peanut, you know, because he was the one setting it all up, right? So that's what it sort of felt like.
Really was. Ends up being the biggest difference maker, I think, in this game by far. For Frog, again, the VOD review is going to teach you a lot, because if you're on the receiving end of a loss in both matchups, it says a lot about the caliber of player that you're facing up against. Hopefully you can take that. Obviously, as you point out, still a very young player.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think had a great day, all things considered.
I would agree.
Hanwha Life is going to look forward to, I think, cleaning up some of the mid-game in particular, but the team fighting of this team remains top tier.
Certainly does. And I think that when they figure out the meta, when they figure out exactly which champions they want to be picking,
not Vayne.
I think that's when things are going to take a bit of a step up. But honestly, the beginning of the first round robin of summer regular season is probably where you can do as much experimenting as you would like, especially when you are confident enough to be able to get towards playoffs range no matter what. And I think that Hanwha Life Esports are a team that can feel pretty confident about being able to do that. Doran did the most damage in the game. Riddle me that.
I got no riddle for you. That's just Skarner, baby.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. There were some champions that have a lot of damage potential in that game, and he just Skarnered.
You know, the difference in size of Scorpion between game 1 and 2 and game 3?
Yeah.
It's a step up, Atlas.
Certainly is, and actually great news for Doran as well, because I think we've been a bit critical of Doran throughout the years, and good to see him really putting some of these young guns in their place. But now it is time for us to throw it over to the space to break down the victory for Hanwha Life Esports.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jiza for the POD interview translation, joined by Doran and Delight on the side of Hanwha Life Esports after their first victory of the summer season. Congratulations. Delight, first win to start off the season finally. How do you feel? Yeah, our first match didn't really go well, but we managed to pick ourselves up together, and I want to make sure that we can keep showing the best performance possible. Yeah, I'm so relieved that we won today, and I had a lot of fun in games, so I like it. Well, Doran, last spring season, Hanwha Life Esports was so close to making it into the finals, but you guys could not. So how did you, prepare for the summer season? Yeah, it was a big bummer, but summer season is really, really important for us. So I just tried to forget what happened in spring and focus on the summer season. Delight. Right now in the meta, Tristana, Zeri, Alistar, the 3 champions seems to be on top of the tier list. And game 3, Hanwha Life secured all 3 of them. So how did the drafting go? I think, yeah, we managed to secure all the picks that we kind of prioritized, so we were happy with how the draft turned out. In game number 1, Alistar was a huge counter into the opponent's comp. I guess that's why Alistar is the OP champion right now. How did you rate the Alistar kind of champion itself right now? I think it depends on your comp actually, and I think every different team has their own approach to the meta read right now. Then what are your thoughts on this tank support meta at the moment? Well, for me, I personally really like tank support, so I'm having a great time. Doran, Hanwha Life decided to play AD carry Vayne, but that was not good enough to connect that into a win, so I want to know about that pick. Well, if I remember correctly, a lot of marksman champions were being banned out, so Vayne was one of the picks that Viper was really confident. So we tried to believe him and give him the Vayne pick. And then what kind of feedback did you guys have before heading into Game 3? So we were playing on the blue side for the first time this series, so we wanted to focus on the plan that we had for the blue side. And then Game 3, the opponent decided to actually let Skarner through and lock in Rumble, actually. What came to your mind when that happened?
하기 나름인
I think
상성이라서
Skarner Rumble all comes down to how you actually
거
play out the laning
것
phase.
같아요.
You know, it depends on the pilot, or it depends how you kind of play out the trades and everything. So I could kind of understand that.
이제 이번 3세트 같은
Then what
경우처럼
is the most important part when it comes to the Skarner Rumble matchup?
그런 점을 좀
I mean, Rumble has always been really weak to, being exposed to ganks. So I think that's the most tricky part. In Game 3, Skarner Rel kind of synergy was so good. Was that something you guys always practiced in scrims?
이런 연계는 잘 안 나왔는데
No, not really. We never had this kind of a wombo combo in scrims, but somehow on the LCK we managed to pull off some outplays. Delight, how would you like to rate your synergy with Skarner from Doran? I was just focusing on my own work. Also did Doran, so we were able to create some great synergy. And Delight, could you share Hana Life Esports goals for the summer season with the fans? Our spring season didn't really end where we were all hoping for, so I want to make sure that we can achieve something more this time. It's only the beginning right now, but I want to, have a long run this season, and I wish that we are the one having the big laugh at the end of the season. And this will be the end of the interview from Doran Delight, and back to the space. Thank you.